There we go. Found a spot to make this work. Camera. How's it going, everyone? Will Carpo here for a quick video in the afternoon. I just wanted to talk for a minute, I guess, about stats. Because my wife and I were joking about this at the show. We went to the Fish concert. There's this one guy behind us who was like just screaming about a particular song that he'd heard. And he's like, "Fuck yeah, man, I haven't heard this in like 12 years, and going on and on. He had tons of pins on his hat. And he was, a stats guy. He started talking about the song during the song. We're trying to ignore him. And there's always one guy at every concert who starts talking to me during one of my favorite songs. And I'm like, look, get a hint. I don't want to talk. I'm dancing. Anyway, so I was talking with my wife about stats. And I was joking with my brother about calling them stat tards, because he's the same kind of way. My brother, he actually was kind of a stat tard, and he still is. He's the guy who would sit and write down a set list while he was at the show, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people like to know the stats. They like to keep the pins I'm talking about are these laminated pins that people get. Now, my wife picked this one up. I picked one up. My wife picked one up. This one's really cool. It's a Grateful Dead one, and that's on her hat. And I wanted to show you the little stat tard crap I have. But this particular one is Divided Sky. I picked this up. They were $10 each, so we gave them $20 for two. And Divided Sky is a Fish song that I really like. And by wearing these badges, it shows what songs, not just your favorite songs about a band, but also what shows you've been to. A lot of these pins, are stuff like my Soak pin, where it's like an event you actually went to. You could say, this is where I've been. And you could see it akin to putting a sticker on the back of your car, of a country you've been to, or a place you've been to, Yellowstone National Park, or anywhere else, It's something that you go to or enjoy, a particular festival or band or whatnot. And so I understand it coming from this viewpoint of having the memories, but some of these guys take it, to the point where, I don't know, it's crazy to me that they'll sit and talk about the music, but they don't actually listen to the music. It's almost like that they're so critical. They're the guys who are sitting there documenting everything they're playing and waiting for the song to come on so they can just, sit there and write it down and talk about it and whatnot. For me, I'm totally immersed in the show. I don't even know what they played until later when I go back and look at the set list. To each his own, and I'm not judging. It's just like the guy that was talking about how he hadn't heard that song forever. He had just tons of pins, in his hat, and a lot of these guys are just, in the old days it was patches, and there were still a lot of pins in the 80s, and then it moved on to different types of pins. Now they're the heavy pins. For example, even this small little Divided Sky pin has two locks on the back, to keep it stable, because they're, people are going to wear them, and they want to make sure they're durable. But it was just kind of funny to me to see how many there really were, how much the scene has changed. They've always had these things, but only over the last, say, not since the Grateful Dead. Like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years they've had these things, 20 years, where people have really been making them for particular shows with the show label on there. I was looking at vintage gear, and it was like Grateful Dead stuff was going for like a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, Grateful Dead T-shirts from even the year I went to them, the last 1995. We all had some of those tour shirts, $100 or $200. Some, like Egypt shirt, was up to like $1,500. One of them was even stained, and it was like $500. It was just, for the sake of collecting. But this is different when you're talking about for the sake of like having, I guess, in a way, I guess you could look at the pins like a ticket stub. If you get the particular ones for the show that you were at, or just like a concert T-shirt. But anyway, I digress. My main point of this was to talk about stats and how people make it their priority, as if, I don't know, to each his own. I'm not judging here, because I understand that's what some people are into. They're overly they're analytical of the music. Some people even take it as far as to be very critical of the band and actually be angry with them for playing certain songs, or even not playing certain songs. My brother told me he was a stats geek because we were texting back and forth earlier, and he said he was all into it. And he said it can help you predict what's going to happen in the future. It can be useful, to know stats. And then he gave me an example. He said, in this particular year, Phish played all these concerts, and by reviewing previous years, I was able to figure out what song they were going to play on their last show. And I was right. And I said, yeah, but I don't understand how that helps you in any way. What does that do for you, And he said, well, it's just fun. And I said, okay, that I understand, if it's just fun. But going back to look at it as something that can help you with your future, I guess it's one of those things that is a hobby, and people recognize it as that, and that's okay. To document no set lists particular years. I don't even know the band members' names in some of my favorite bands. It's just how it is. I mean, I try to. I guess most of my favorite bands I do, but I don't know a majority of the songs that Phish play. I don't know the name of the song. And there were a lot of Dead songs like that, too. It just didn't matter to me what the name of the song was, or what fades, or what they were going to play. Although a few times I did call what they were going to play, and I was pretty accurate with it, and I was pretty stoked. It's hearing those little twinges. I called a couple Phish songs, too, which is harder to do. But, so I have stats, man. So I guess what I'm saying is it's okay to have ego. It's okay to be a little bit proud of where you've been. It's just like a Volkswagen bus with a bunch of stickers on the back, that show what you're about, People are wearing that kind of stuff as these pins, and it's just interesting how culture's changed, I guess. I try to move along with it, and, I don't have to change with it, but it doesn't have to, I don't have to pick at it either. Just go to shows and see what the majority is up to, I guess. Anyway. So I'll sign off there. Hope you all have a great day. Peace out.